Yes, many thanks for staying with us on Frontline this morning. Now we'll move on to the interview segment where we are turning our spotlight on a topic that doesn't actually get the attention it deserves and often been overlooked, and that is talking about issues affecting a boy child. In many parts of the world, we've seen a lot of attention being given to a girl child, and we have a lot of days even set aside to celebrate the girl child. Women, or let me say the female gender in particular, where we tend to overlook or neglect issues affecting the boy child. And on this on Frontline this morning, we are looking at a topic saying building self-esteem in boys. How do we go about building self-esteem in boys? What are the challenges? What are the stakeholders that should key into this initiative in building self-esteem in boys, particularly to face the world and to be the boy we want them to be? So joining me to have this conversation this morning is Olufunke Oyinlola. Olufunke Oyinlola is a boy child advocate and the founder and the executive director of Boys Aid Network. So it's good to have you on the program this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ma.
Okay, before we start talking about building self-esteem in boys, Boys Aid Network, what's it all about?
Well, Boys Aid Network is an organization where we advocate for boys, inclusion of boys, support for boys, just like some of the things you've said. So we also create empowering programs and mentorship where we bring, men that are exemplary in their field, in their spiritual life, to mentor the boys, because we found that boys need positive examples. Online, when you go online, you hear a lot of negative things about men, and a lot of these boys, these are the things they see. They go online, they see all these things, but we are trying to change the narrative to let them know that the news should not just carry the negative aspects of manhood and masculinity. You can also see that all around you, there are men that are doing good, that are doing exemplary things, that are, building great families and are good fathers. And these are the men that we want you to be like. So that is exactly what we do. We're trying to present boys, to the world in a positive light.
Well, I love the fact that your network is looking at some of the challenges that boys do face. And now we're talking about boys now. Generally, we've seen a lot of attention being given to a girl child. But the unfortunate part is when a boy is being born into a family, everybody seems to be excited about the news because it's a boy. Yeah. You get the narrative now. Yeah. But by the time the boy starts growing, the attention is just being taken out from the pipeline. So what do you think is responsible for why we pay more attention to the girl child than the boy child? What are the contributory factors?
Okay, I think I would say that it's because in so many climes and even in so many societies, we kind of believe that women are the backbones of families. We believe that a woman should, she spends more time probably with the children in the home, so she should have more of these trainings. We kind of believe that a man's role in the home is just, you are the leader, just lead. But you know that if you cannot give what you don't have. If a bird that does not have wings cannot fly. So I believe that we have to also come into, looking at things even within our religious environment. Most of the programs that a lot of people hold, most of the conferences are for women. I think that it's also because a lot of women are receptive to these things. A lot of women want to grow, they want to be more, and then most men, when you hold programs, sometimes when you tell men, come for parents program, come for PTS, they'll be like, oh, I want to work. Because society has given them the impression that your role in the home is provide and just be the father and lead. So a lot of even boys now just have that mentality that, oh, I just have to make money, that's all I need. So you see that a lot of men focus on that actually, even though women are also focusing on it. So I think it's just that impression. There are stereotypes that society has created for both genders, that this is your role. And this is your role. So each person is just like, let me stay where I am and let me stay. But I also want us to note that the rise of feminism has also aided this a lot. So a lot of women are now seeing that they are capable of so much. They are now seeing that they can become more. More women are rising up to, mentor girls, to organize programs for girls, to help girls go into fields that they've never been into. The whole saying of what a man can do, a woman can do it better. So we are now seeing it play out in the real sense of it. So you also see that when you go to some prayer groups, religious grounds, you see more women there. Because exactly. I don't know, I think women are just so eager to learn. Maybe from the home they've told you, you're going to be the mother, you're going to keep the home, you know you have to do this, you know you have to do that, enter the kitchen and cook, you have to take good care of your husband, you have to take good care of your kids. So women just have that sense of responsibility that I'm the backbone of the family. I have to do and do and do. And then because most of the time we don't even engage these boys at home. So we just tell them, you know, you'll be the father of the home one day, you better face your work and make sure you make a lot of money. And then the media, you know, the social media is also telling them you have to make money. Some of the songs they listen to, you have to make money. So most of them are just focusing on the making money part. They're not focusing on other things. They have to be fathers, you know, to be husbands, to, you know, to be leaders even in society. So I think it's just, those are just one of the few things.
So, you know one thing, this world is filled with the pressure to, you have to be tough, you have to man up because you are a man or you are a boy, you are going to be a boy or you are growing to be a man, and there is a lot of pressure on them, there is a lot of pressure to navigate their emotional development, and is why self-esteem is very, very important for them. So who are the stakeholders, or let's say who starts this building of self-esteem in boys?
You know how they say socialization starts from the family. It starts from the home. That is where you begin to build. Just like some of the things I said before, that we put a lot of pressure on boys, especially on the part of providing for the family. And when a boy child begins to grow in the family and they are not having their self-worth, like having what they need to first become a person of their own, and you are already putting all the responsibilities on them, and all he's thinking about is this. If at any point in time he feels that he's not fitting into that shoe, I believe that he might begin to have low self-esteem. And I have nephews, I've worked with a lot of boys around, and I have seen how it is that they take things like even failure at school. I've seen how they react to these things. Sometimes they come home crying because they failed a particular subject, and they're like, oh, now look at me, I'm not able to, I'm supposed to do well, you know. And you see some boys too who are not happy when a girl is leading in class because they feel, no, that's my responsibility, I should be the one leading. A boy should be the captain, a boy should be the prefect for the entire school and all of that. So I believe that in the home, before we begin to give boys that, like, put that all the pressure of responsibilities on them, we have to first make them become a person of their own. We have to be gentle with them. We have to stop this whole man up thing. Boys, there's this thing I say a lot, and I've heard of that people say it and read about it, that boys are not conditioned from heaven. And you see this in little boys. When you see a little boy, just like I said before, I have nephews, and sometimes, they cry over little things. Before you know it, they just cry, and I'll be like, so you don't have to cry about this, let's talk about it. And you know, when you look at that in comparison with how men are these days, you see that some men just say, no, I cannot do that. You'd be like, why were you like this when you were a child, but then all of a sudden you're in secondary school and all of a sudden you're rigid? There's this book that I read that says that, where the author said that boys are more emotionally attached to their parents, especially their mothers and girls when they're young. Why does this suddenly change? What have you started telling them? You know, when you start telling them, man up, you're a man, you must not cry, shut your mouth. They have emotions, let them express it. If they are not able to express it, they start, you know, just pushing everything down, and then it starts affecting their self-esteem, their ego. And then let's go into the Bible again. When we look at the story of Jabez, you know, Jabez was the one that, you know, he had, because of his name and everything, he had issues. He had to go to God and pray. You know, sometimes when I think about it, I just begin to wonder, what did people say to him? What bullying and oppression did he go through, to the extent that he had to go to God and say, God, today you must change my situation, you must change my name. The pressure, the whole, you're not man enough, look at you, you don't have anything, what do you have? You begin to, you know, put all that pressure on their shoulders. They're so young and they have to carry so much. So I believe that we have to begin to speak good words into the lives of our sons. You have to begin to tell your son that he's much more. Because if you don't give him all the praises, if you don't compliment him, if you don't make him feel that he's already you are already great as you are, and you will be greater. If you don't begin to compliment even the little effort he puts, one day he'll go out there and other people will begin to give him. Most especially, you know, with the rise of the LGBTQ, they'll begin to, you know, tell him all sorts of things, and he'll be like, oh, so this exists somewhere. So I think that we have to make boys know that they are enough in themselves. You are perfect as you are. This is what God, especially through the Word of God, this is what God has called you into. This is who God says you are. You don't have to feel less of yourself. You don't have to feel like you're competing with girls. You don't have to feel like you're competing with anybody, and you can just be whole in yourself first before you go out there and try to say, okay, I want to be the head of the family.
You know, we have many boys struggling emotionally, just as you rightly mentioned. So I would like to ask that, what do you consider as the role of mentorship and classroom teachings in all of this?
Yes, I read a book once, and the author said that education is not like the way education is in so many societies, the way they are organized, they are not fit for both genders, to teach both genders the same way. Because I think psychologically, boys have a different way of learning, girls have a different way of learning. And just like some of the things you said, it starts from the family. So when you look at the way you teach boys in school, some boys, they learn by, you know, they say these things about men and boys learning by what they see, graphic images, you know, and then girls being able to maybe be more patient because of their nurturing nature and all of that. So I believe that even in school, it is important for schools to understand this uniqueness. Of course, it's not like we have boys separately, we have girls separately, but I think that teachers should be trained to understand this nature of both genders, and they should be taught in that direction. Then it is very important that boys have more male representation, especially in schools. Even at the nursery level, you rarely see a male teacher teaching little kids. You know, and then when you see some boys, you would rarely see a little boy who wants to be a teacher, because he just thinks automatically, no, men don't do that. Because his teachers are not men. Even you ask some boys, do you want to be a nurse? No, men don't do that. And there are male nurses, but they are very few, because that field is not a field that you know, people talk about more. And people that are in that field probably do not talk so much. Though I saw somebody online that has started promoting, you know, male nursing profession, and I think it's just amazing. So that is the place of mentorship. Let boys see that these things are possible. And I also think that a lot of men, just like I am doing now advocating for boys, there are so many other women that are also advocating for boys. But I don't think we have more men doing this. I think that men have to support their boys. Men should not just say, oh, boys are not getting all the support. No, we need you to come out and support boys. We need you to actually show them that, see, masculinity, manhood is not perfect. I have been through what you're going through. I have failed here, I have failed here. This is how I navigate. I'm not perfect. We should not paint this perfect picture of manhood for boys. I believe that men who have actually come into their own should come out there and pick up some of these boys and mentor them in the right way. If you don't do it, social media will do it. People who are going to initiate them into cults, initiate them into drug addictions, they are going to do it because they want them. And you know, there is this thing where people say that boys, of course, it's not even this thing. Statistics shows that more boys engage in crimes, you know, more male persons than females. So it is because, you know, it has now become like a stereotype. So most of the time people will say, like, there are some things, they say men are this, men are that, but it's not supposed to be. There are good men out there. They say, oh, men in families, we hear a lot of stories. Women come online to share how their husbands are horrible, how this happened to them, somebody raped them. But there are lots of men who are good. We should talk more about the men who are good. Men who are doing well in their families, in their career, in life, spiritually, should come out and share their stories for these boys to see that it is possible.
Okay, now, you just like it's been established that it starts from the family, it starts from the home, and we have many homes that have boys, or at least maybe boys or boy. So what would you consider as some of the red flags that parents should look out for to know whether their male child or children suffering from low self-esteem?
I think that the most important should be probably the seclusion. All of a sudden, your son does not want to talk anymore. Maybe a boy that used to be jovial, that used to share a lot of things about school with you, all of a sudden does not want to talk anymore. He just wants to sit down. I think that is not the time for us to start beating them and saying, you don't want to talk. I asked you to do this. Well, I think that is the time to sit him down and ask what happened. And one thing I've noticed with my little nephews is that they will not talk. They will tell you nothing. Ask them 10 times, nothing. But as much as they say nothing, you must persist. And it's not time to shout at them. It's not time to scream. Tell them, I want to know, I'm really interested. Tell me. Eventually they say, we are quite close. They will tell you what is going on, but that nothing, you will hear it. So I think that we have to learn how to communicate with them the right way. And it is not by shouting at them. It's not that by beating them at the slightest provocation. They are children. They go through a lot too. Children have emotions. They have feelings. They hear things. And then another thing I want us to take note of is bullying. We have to take notes to know if our child is being bullied. Unfortunately, bullying is very common, much more common than we even know. And it starts from when somebody sees your child and they just give the child one bad nickname. They just say, I see his big head. And then when they see him, they say it again and again. And sometimes some parents just laugh about it. And then some parents even say to their kids, no, you are damaging their self-esteem. Those things, by the time it becomes their identity, they look in the mirror, that is all they see. Because when children are small, that is when you begin to decide, the things you say to them begins to form their personality, begins to form who they are. So, but when, people just say it, no matter how much you respect that person, I think it's okay to say, please, can you not say that to the child? You just say it in a very polite way for them to understand. Because I, as a person, I experienced some of these things. Growing up, I was so very, very skinny. And then people will say all sorts. It affected me terribly. I had to get to a place where I sat with God and say, God, who am I? God had to heal me in that aspect. So I can just imagine how it could be for children. A lot of boys go through this too. When people start telling them who they are not, calling them who they are not, it begins to affect their self-esteem. So when parents see them and maybe your child all of a sudden is hiding his body, is doing this, something is probably wrong, somebody has been doing something, you have to speak with him. Then another red flag you should notice is if your child suddenly sees somebody that he's probably been seen before. Somebody that comes to the house, maybe an auntie, a family friend, or even a man. And all of a sudden he's running away from that man. He's running away from that auntie. He starts crying, he starts getting angry, something is wrong. You have to look into it. It is not time to begin to shout. That is probably a case of abuse, probably sexual abuse or something else. So I think you should look into it. Those are the red flags you should begin to notice. Does your son just suddenly start getting angry? Somebody that's not like that. There's a change in behavior, there's a change in character. He does not come home early anymore. He does not want to speak with others. He's always screaming. What is going on? I think it's time to sit down and ask what is going on. And if possibly, even take the child to see a child psychologist. Those things are very important because that is when he begins to become who he would. Those are the times when the kind of person he will begin to be formed. But of course, parents have to know that children are watching you. Your boy is watching you. You as a woman, you are teaching him how women should be treated by some of the things you do, by some of the things you take. You as the father in the home, you are teaching him who a man should be by the way you treat your wife, by the way you treat your daughters, by the way you speak about other women, by the things you do, the way you take responsibility in the home. If you're a man that does not do anything in the home, you just sit down. You don't do anything. The mother, she does everything morning, afternoon, and you go to work, you come, you sit. Your son automatically gets that impression that this is where a man should be. That's why you hear some men. They'll say, no, a man should never do this in the home. Why should I as a man do this? My father did not do it. My mother was the one. She does everything. So that's the kind of woman I want to marry.
And those are the things that some of the mistake adults make.
Yes.
And it damages their self-esteem unintentionally.
Yes. And then some men grow up and then you see them just, they want to build that ego. They want to have their ego intact because of what they've been through. And then they look at who is the weaker person around that I can lord it over so I can feel like I'm a man. I've read stories about some men that have, committed crimes like rape and all that. And, when you look at their background, you see that they had issues as children, probably abuse of any kind. And then when they grew up, they just felt like they were nothing. Their self-esteem was so low that they needed to prove that they were, that they were a man. They needed to prove it so much that they just looked for the next weak person, to begin to lord it over. Maybe a wife or just somebody around or their children. They want to lord it and say, no, you must respect me. You must not. That I'm a man. Sometimes when you look at those men, see that they're damaged inside. It's not them. They need to feel like they are complete. So something is deeply wrong inside of them. So I think that we should begin to take note of that. So it's not all the time that even judge men who are doing some of these things that you say. The boy in them probably needs healing.
So what practical step would you advise for parents, guardians, caregiver to build self-esteem in boys?
Just like I've said before, I think the first thing is to always make sure that you speak good into their lives. Make them know that they are important, they are complete. God made them complete. They are already great and they will be greater. So we must continue to speak positive words, give affirmations. We can even create affirmations and just write it and tell them to continue to just say it. We must also engage them in the home, make them feel important, make them feel that they are taking responsibilities. Sometimes you see children, they want to help you. They want to do things for you. They want to say, Mommy, let me help you do this. So you say, no, go and sit down. No, sometimes it might make them feel that, oh, I'm not good enough. Let them know. And then when you make them do these things, compliment them. Oh, you did it so well. You're so good. Do you know you're an amazing person? Do you know you wash so well? Do you know you can arrange so well? You know, it will just make them feel important that, oh, mommy complimented me. It's just like the way they get prizes at school. So I also believe that it's important to continue to engage them in conversations. Let them speak. They think too. They have opinions about some of the things in the home. Letting them speak will make them feel that they're also contributing to the family. It will make them feel that they are also, important, persons even within their homes and outside. So when they feel that way at home, when they go outside and somebody's telling them something that is not, they just look at them and know. They will even come and say, Mom, did you know that somebody said, what's that? No, that's not who you are. And then they feel so good about themselves. So I think that it is very important. But most of all, just like we said before, the examples. The examples, when they see you also thriving, and then when they see that you are not a perfect person yourself, you're able to tell them, I am not perfect. They don't see that daddy is this great and mighty person. Daddy never makes mistakes. Oh, how can I ever measure up to my dad? How can I ever be like my dad? I think it will make them actually have good self-esteem to know that even if I make mistakes, it does not mean that I am no longer a good boy. Yes, I'm a failure. I'm not a failure even if I make mistakes. It's okay. And when they make mistakes, I rub their back and say, you made a mistake now. Let's see how we can rectify. I think that we have to bond more with our children. Wow. Bonding is amazing. It's an amazing way to, increase and raise their self-esteem.
Well, thank you so much, Olufunke Lola, for this wonderful time on the program this morning as we look at building self-esteem in boys. Self-esteem is not just about you showing you are strong or some show of muscle, show of power. It's about you making the boy's voice to be heard, to be seen, and also value them for who they are. That is what self-esteem is. And we hope that as many as God has blessed with a male child, you will do the needful, giving to all of the tips that we talk about this morning. Once again, I want to say a very big thank you to Olufunke Lola for your time.
Thank you for having me
on the show this morning. We'll take a break now, and after that, Frontline continues. Do stay with us.